one is mine.
Robert. Right here?
Okay.
We should turn them
We
around
need
till we sit
double-sided.
down.
It must be down this way.
That's a
One off one.
project when somebody has something to do.
I see how it is.
Here, what do you need? Do you need something? Oh.
Sorry if I bumped into you.
It's nice and close.
Happen all night?
I don't know what happens at 8:05.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I was a little.
Welcome, Grace.
I'd like to call to order tonight's meeting, October 17th, regular public board meeting. Mr. Jones, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Barve?
Here.
Ms. Bauer?
Here.
Ms. Boroff?
Here.
Ms. Brody?
Here.
Ms. Siriani?
Here.
Ms. Williams? Ms. Winkler?
Here.
Dr. Kolkowski?
Here.
Mr. Murray?
Here, motion carries. So first is executive session report. We discussed personnel, HIB, suspension and detention, and a legal status report. We have a couple of additions to the agenda, and for those that were not in the tenure recognition ceremony, Dr. Mast has lost her voice, so she will be, her voice will be Dr. McGarry this evening. So I'll move over to the superintendent's report presented by the assistant superintendent.
In the words of the superintendent.
I don't think the mic's on.
Last week, I had the pleasure of attending a ribbon-cutting ceremony for the new wing of Evergreen. It was a special moment to see my office, meaning Dr. Mast's office, and my colleagues' offices, meaning my office, converted into classrooms for students, knowing that quality teaching and learning is happening there. It also, however, was a reminder that all our schools need this kind of extra space to accommodate our growing student population and maintain the quality that is expected of SPF. That's why it's still very disappointing that the plan to add this much-needed space failed by about 260 votes last month. As I've said before, the needs that existed before the referendum aren't going away. Since September, the Board of Education and I have been listening carefully to community feedback and reviewing the election results to determine next steps. We heard clearly through the September referendum that purchasing, renovating, and expanding LeGrand was too big of a financial ask. Yet the community was willing to support HVAC, electrical, and fire alarm upgrades in our current schools. An alternative path became clear this week when the owner of 330 South Avenue agreed to lower the purchase price and hold the property for another 3 months. This new development is leading us to plan a scaled-back bond proposal for voters to consider on January 28th. During tonight's meeting, you'll hear the board lay the foundation to hold another, much smaller referendum on January 28th. While many details are still to be determined and won't be finalized until our November board meeting, we anticipate that this January vote would give the community an alternative option at less than half the price. The new scaled-back plan would allow us to purchase LeGrand Elementary School with referendum funds if voters approve. Luckily, the property owner has agreed to hold the property for this extension. The district could then use funds from capital reserve to cover the cost of minor renovations. An expansion would be off the table for the near future, and will continue trying to find and best utilize space to deal with the growing population. Ultimately, LeGrand could be used as an early learning center for our district's pre-kindergarten students. The district's program includes students who are required to be in the program and students who pay tuition. By educating them in one building, we could ease the current space crunch in our elementary schools. Most students would also get to remain in their current schools for the time being. Just the second question of HVAC, electrical, and fire alarm upgrades in our current schools would also again be on the ballot, since we heard overwhelming support for that through the election results. I want to continue to be transparent at every stage of this process. These are the details we currently know, and while I understand that may raise many questions for residents, we remain committed to providing more details over the next 3 months to give everyone an opportunity to make a fact-based decision. I also want to personally invite any community members interested in helping shape the ballot questions and future of SPF to join a future-ready planning committee. The citizen group will meet monthly through January and then periodically thereafter to provide valuable input on the future of our schools. Please contact Robin Broadbent at rbroadbent, BROADBENT, at spfk12.org if you are interested in joining. More details are available at spfk12.org/future. You can also share any questions or feedback with future@spfk12.org. We may not be able to answer every question immediately, but we will keep them and respond as details are finalized. Thank you for your continued understanding as we work together to address the space constraint in our schools.
Thank you, Dr. McGarry and Dr. Mast. Business Administrator Report. Mr. Jones.
Thanks. Yeah, so this is, it's a really exciting night to announce this and really start the communication out with the community members. I just want to highlight, this week has been a lot of time spent negotiating, and on the agenda tonight is the option to purchase the building at 330 South. So I think one thing just to address is, why it was extended. I think, we're dealing with a business here, somebody who owns it, and of course, he was able to lower the price, but at the same time, the owner, definitely the seller, needs more cash, right? So more cash up front, but a lower price on the back end. So I think it was took a lot of time, and I just want to thank the Finance Committee and specifically Mr. Murray here for helping us negotiate that and really push me to really think about all the options we had with the building. And then secondarily on the agenda, I want to point out is an architect's proposal to go in and look and see what what we can do, how much it will cost to renovate it, to get up to code. And I would say, when we say minor renovations, it's really bring it up to code and make sure that it's appropriate for a preschool. And the architects are working with us, though there are, at a relatively low cost, and throwing in, they'll also have a structural engineer going in and making sure that the foundation is stable, because previously we were looking at some major renovations. So there's some additional work to do there. But overall, I'm just really excited to get going on this, and look forward to working with the community members over the next few months.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Board President announcement. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law is enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which the business affecting their interests is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Board of Education offices at 313 South Avenue, Fanwood, New Jersey. Such notice was also provided in written notice forwarded to the Union County Hawk, the Star Ledger, the Township Clerk of Scotch Plains, and the Borough Clerk of Fanwood, and the annual notice of regularly scheduled meetings as adopted April 25th, 2024, and revised August 27th, 2024. Sorry, we're going to really just turn around real quick. Mr. Miller apparently has something that he'd like to share. Sorry, Dr. Miller. My apologies.
Union County Championships for gymnastics just ended, and Scotch Plains won their 6th consecutive county championship. Not a month, but I figured if you were here, it literally ended like 5 minutes ago. We beat Summit by 0.7 of a point. So, why not crash the meeting and show up? Let me interrupt. Have a great night.
Congratulations. So I typically don't have an opening statement, but I'm going to make one this evening because I feel it's important because of a lot of communication in the community has been around the referendum and community engagement and the board's collaboration with both Fanwood and Scotch Plains, as well as our role as board members, and why and how we're not able to really speak publicly on behalf of the board. So I'm going to read some points that I wanted to make sure that I got through, just to make sure that, people had a full perspective on all the work that this board has done and is doing continually for not only on behalf of the community, but the students that we support. So thank you for joining us this evening. I thought it would be important for me to dispel some of the miscommunications and misconceptions that have been raised about the bond referendum that was put forth to ensure the children of our community have the best learning environment possible for their continued growth and development. The first is that the board and school district need to partner more with the both townships. So for several years, we've had regular partnership meetings with both the leadership of Fanwood and the leadership of Scotch Plains. These meetings are attended by Dr. Mast, the chair of the Board of Ed Finance Committee, at this point is Ms. Brody, board president being myself, both mayors, business administrator, township managers, and representative council members of each community. The purpose of those meetings, which were established to ensure that all three entities have a full understanding and full disclosure of the district priorities and large capital projects. There are discussions on ways to collaborate effectively in the best interest of the children and community members who are impacted by the decisions made by all three entities combined. The second item was the township should be providing pilot monies to the schools to assist with the expansion of the space needs. To be absolutely clear, we have consistently asked and have been told those funds have already been allocated for other purposes. The third and final item I wanted to mention is about the communications to the broader community about the bond referendum. The school district administration has had many conversations with both communities' governing bodies to enlist their support of the initiative, and each decided to take a very different approach. The leadership of each community chose the level of which they wanted to participate. Fanwood coordinated meetings with township officials, interviews with the superintendent, and a supportive social media presence. We worked with the Township of Scotch Plains, and it was the decision of the majority of the sitting council members to not share any information on the school bond referendum through any of their communication channels that they have with their community. So with that being said, it was extremely difficult for the district to reach the broader community, as the source of that information outside of the school community lies with the township. There was no lack of trying, just a lack of support. And my final comments are to review some of the rules and restrictions as board members. As you all know, we live in a society driven by social media. If you want to know something, just go to Facebook. If it's on Facebook, it has to be true, right? So we ask that you please stop getting your information from Facebook and reach out to the district administration. Dr. Mast has always made herself available to the community and their concerns. I can attest she spent 2 hours walking around the high school track with a parent just to talk about a specific issue that that parent had heard on social media. As for myself and my fellow board members, we've said this many times, board members are prohibited from speaking on behalf of the entire board. The role of the board member is to see that the school district is run well. The written policies of the board provide guidance and direction to the chief school administrator. Board members have no legal authority except when sitting with other board members in a legally constituted meeting. An individual board member cannot make decisions for the board, take action for the board, or speak for the board unless the board has authorized them to do so. Likewise, concerns of individuals in the community which are brought to the attention of a board member cannot be acted upon by that board member, but are referred through the established channels such as the board president and/or chief school administrator, that being Dr. Mast. In closing, I just want to let everyone know that we always have and always will have the needs of our students as a top priority. I encourage everyone to continue to raise concerns to the administration, and as Dr. Mast continually communicates, her door and phone line is always available for a conversation. Thank you. Now on to our student representatives. So we have Mac, who is our senior board rep, and we actually have a new representative joining the board and in the junior board rep capacity, and that's Grace McDougall.
Thank you. I just wanted to start off by saying that I'm excited to be here and to move up to the position of senior representative. I'm also really excited to welcome Grace McDougall to the board as our junior representative. Clearly, we're already on the same wavelength outfit-wise, so I'm sure we're going to work great together this year. First, I just wanted to give Grace a minute to introduce herself.
Yeah. Wait. Okay. Hi, I'm Grace. I'm the new Junior Board of Education representative. I wanted to start off by just saying a few things about myself. I'm a tennis captain at the high school for the girls' tennis team. I also am involved in Model UN as a youth secretary and heavily involved in the Spanish language clubs such as Salsa and HISPA and Union Latina. I'm very excited to be given this opportunity to be able to give back to my community in a way, as well as offer a voice for other students at the school. And overall, I'm very excited for this new year and what it has to bring and being involved in my community. So thank you.
Now moving on to our report, we are over halfway through the first marking period in the district, and I know a lot of seniors are in the thick of college applications. And also going on at the high school is our fall play this year, which is called Game of Tiaras, and we're currently in rehearsals for that.
My aspect of the report is that for tennis, we recently have been doing much better this season with the new freshmen coming in, and also just have been performing better. We have 3 games left in our season. For PSAT testing, we had PSAT testing today for juniors, which changed the schedule a little bit, so we had to get lunch after, but it can be stressful sometimes, but it reminds us juniors that we are now approaching the bigger steps of our future, as well as implementation of ID cards. It has been running smoothly. At first, it was a little abrupt of a change for many students to adjust to the ID cards, and there were very long lines to enter the school, which kind of backed up things. However, now, these next few weeks, we've been doing well with scanning in, and it's become part of our routines.
I just wanted to add that we had a varsity football game last week against Cranford, and Jalea Richards, who is a sophomore at the high school, scored the first varsity touchdown by a girl in New Jersey history, which is such an incredible accomplishment. And varsity has another home game tomorrow against Perth Amboy. And lastly, next week is homecoming week at the high school. So we have Spirit Week taking place and our homecoming dance on Thursday. And to end the week is the homecoming football game against Summit next Friday, which we're excited for. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Okay. We are now on instructional updates. So we're going to move to the state assessment report.
So as you heard earlier, we did vacate our offices at Evergreen, which included the board meeting room. So we're still getting used to having our meetings in this new space, which means my presentation is going to be behind you.
It makes the meetings interactive.
So you get to take a break, maybe stretch a little, and refocus. So welcome everyone to our 2023-2024 State Assessment Report presentation. I'm Robert McGarry, the Assistant Superintendent, and I'll be walking you through our district's performance on state assessments this year. Today, we'll be covering results from three main assessments: the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment in English Language Arts, Mathematics, and Science, the Dynamic Learning Maps, which is an alternative assessment, and the Access for ELS, a test for our multilingual learners. So before we dive in, I'd like to set our data lens. These assessments provide valuable insights, but they're just one measure of student performance. They focus on core subjects, but don't capture everything we value in our district. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge everyone who contributed to this process, from our curriculum supervisors who are here in the audience this evening, and our building administrators, to our teachers, support staff, and our students and their families, as well as the board curriculum committee who got to have a preview of this the other night. Special shout out to Ms. Lisa Howard and Dr. Timothy Donahue, who coordinate all the testing that happens around the district, which is a very labor-intensive process. This truly is a team effort, and the dedication of everyone I've listed here matters and is truly appreciated. So we're going to begin with the Dynamic Learning Maps, or the DLM, which is an alternative assessment for students with significant cognitive disabilities. It's administered to students in grades 3 through 8 and grade 11 for ELA and math, and grades 5, 8, and 11 for science. This assessment helps us understand the progress of our students with the most significant cognitive disabilities. Looking at our results this year, in ELA, we had 17 students participate, with 7 reaching target or advanced levels. For math, we had 18 students take the assessment, with a 7 at target or advanced. And in science, we had just 5 students take the assessment, with 1 student reaching the target level. We use this data, and by we I mean our administrators led by Dr. Lisa Rabimbis, Andrea Tomesco, and Diane Panino in special services, use it to really make some curricular decisions, provide instructional feedback, and we use it as an additional data point to monitor student progress and growth. So turning to the Access for ELS, which is an English language proficiency test for multilingual learners. This test is administered annually to students who are identified as multilingual learners. It helps us monitor their progress in academic English across 4 domains: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. This year, we administered the access to 97 English language learners, or multilingual learners, and they are scored on an English language proficiency level from 1 to 6. A key highlight is that 18 students received a score of 4.5 or higher, qualifying them to exit the ESL program. This result is consistent with district performance over the last several years. Now we turn to the NJSLA results, starting with English Language Arts. These assessments give us a comprehensive view of our students' performance in core subject areas. This chart, with SPF in the blue and the state in gray, compares our district's ELA performance to the state average. Note how we consistently outperform the state across all grade levels. Our strongest performance, you might note, is in grades 4, 5, 7, and 9, where over 70% of students are meeting or exceeding expectations. Moving to mathematics, we again see performance above the state average. our strongest results in grades 3 and 4. We see some opportunities for growth in other grades, and in geometry in particular, though we're still outperforming state averages in all of these except in geometry. And lastly, in science, which is tested in grades 5, 8, and 11, we're significantly outperforming state averages. Grade 11 shows particularly stronger than state results, with over 50% of students at or above the proficient level. So now we'll break things down a bit more. First, as a review, here are the 5 levels, performance levels used in the NJSLA, in the ELA, and in the math. Those range from not yet meeting expectations to exceeding grade level expectations. Understanding these levels help us interpret the data we'll be looking at. This overview shows our ELA performance across grades 3 through 9. Note the consistent, strong performance with a majority of students meeting or exceeding expectations in all grades. Pay attention to the patterns as we move through the grade levels. I like to follow the progression of the yellow band. As with rather consistent orange and red, yellow can tell us a great deal. We'll be taking a 3-year look at performance. Thus, in the slides that follow, you will see a set of 3 bars, each representing a different school year from 2022 to 2024. Note, this is not real data on this slide. It's just used as an example. Then you will see on the slides that follow, you'll see subject and grade level headers. And then you'll see each slide, broken down into 2 halves, with the left half representing SPF over the years and the right side representing the state. Does this make sense? As a reminder, this is grade level achievement over time, with each bar in the pair of graphs you'll be seeing representing completely different groups of students, with each group having unique pandemic and pre- and post-pandemic experiences. Okay, here we go. Looking at grade 3 ELA over the past 3 years, we see fairly steady results. However, there remains a gap between this grade level's performance and the results we earned pre-pandemic. For grade 4 ELA, we've maintained strong performance over 3 years. There's been a notable increase in students exceeding expectations from 24% in 2022 to 33.1% in 2024. This suggests that our early literacy initiatives are having a positive impact over time. In grade 5 ELA, we see consistent performance over the 3-year period. However, the percentage of students meeting or exceeding expectations has improved by over 5%. Our focus will be on moving more students from the meeting to the exceeding, from the lighter green to the darker green, as we did this past year. For grade 6 ELA, we notice a slight dip in performance in 2023, but a recovery in 2024. The percentage of students meeting or exceeding expectations in 2024 is 67.5%, up from 61.7% in 2023. This improvement suggests that our targeted interventions are working. In grade 7 ELA, we've seen gradual improvement over the 3 years. The percentage of students in the top categories has increased 11.6% over these 3 years. For grade 8 ELA, performance has remained relatively stable over the 3 years. We're seeing 73.7% of students meeting or exceeding expectations in 2024 versus 52.9% in the previous year. 52.9% across the state. So if you take our 2024 versus the state's 2024, it's a 52.9% better performance for SPF. In grade 9 ELA, we've seen a positive trend over the 3 years. The percentage of students meeting or exceeding expectations has grown from 61.8% in 2023 to 72.7% this past year. This suggests a strong transition from middle to high school ELA instruction. So on the next slides that follow, we're going to take a look at cohort growth, meaning we're going to look at how the same students performed over subsequent grade levels. So here are our current fifth graders and how they performed in third and fourth grade. So we see growth from 61% meeting or exceeding in third grade to 72% meeting or exceeding in fourth grade. This positive trend indicates that effective instruction and that we're seeing significant student progress. For our current sixth graders, we're looking at performance from third through fifth grade. We see 61% meeting or exceeding in third grade, 72% in fourth grade, and 71.5% in fifth grade. This steady and improving performance shows consistent growth as students progress. We see consistent results for our seventh graders as well, while our eighth graders saw a 10.6% increase in meeting or exceeding expectations, and a 14% increase for our current ninth graders when they transitioned between seventh and eighth grade. And our current 10th graders showed a very strong transition to high school. Another way that we look at the data is through various demographic groups. So we're going to look here at the ELA data broken down by gender first, where we see that 75% of females are meeting exceeding expectations, which is an increase of 1.54% from last year. And we see 64.81% of males meeting or exceeding, which is an increase of 4.26 percentage points. The gap, the gap between male and female performance has narrowed slightly. In ELA achievement by ethnicity and race, we see improvements across almost all groups. Notable gains in the Black or African American group, up 3.55 percentage points. And Asian students continue to perform strongly at 82.3%, meeting or exceeding expectations. And the last look is at students who are in specific programs. Students with disabilities, our economically disadvantaged students, students who have 504 plans, and our English learners. Students with 504 plans showed significant improvement of 21.97 percentage points over the previous year. Our economically disadvantaged students improved as well, and English language learners showed a modest gain of 2.44 percentage points. These results suggest that our support programs are having a positive impact. Our ELA supervisors, Ms. Dunstan and Dr. McKenna, have been digging into this data with our teachers, and thus far have observed the following: consistent above state average performance across all grades, ongoing increase in ELA proficiency rates, improved performance across diverse demographic groups, growth in complex nonfiction comprehension skills, and the need for continued focus on literary analysis in some grades. Some next steps in ELA is to leverage diverse assessments for targeted professional development and advanced literacy instruction. We just came off of having a professional development day where we engaged in a lot of this work already. Enhanced literary analysis instruction in elementary grades is a priority, strengthening cross-curricular support for complex text comprehension, and refining our fifth grade teaming, or platooning as we call it, and content-specific planning. Now let's turn our attention to mathematics performance. Like ELA, we'll examine grade level trends, cohort growth, and demographic breakdowns. This overview shows our math performance across grades 3 through the course Geometry at the high school. Note the strong performance in elementary grades, particularly grades 3 and 4. We see some challenges in the middle grades and in geometry, and as I was reminded by one of our board members who's a former math teacher in the district, this pattern is not uncommon as mathematical concepts become more abstract in these years. So again, we're going to look at each grade level across the previous 3 years. In grade 3 math, we've seen steady performance with close to 20% more SPF students meeting or exceeding expectations than students across the state. This strong foundation is crucial for future mathematical success. Grade 4 math shows consistent high performance. We've maintained around 70% meeting or exceeding expectations across all 3 years, with a 6.4% increase in 2024, bringing the percentage to 74.6, which is above pre-pandemic outcomes. The stability here indicates effective instruction and curriculum alignment. Kudos to our 4th grade team and to all who worked as math tutors in our spring high-impact tutoring program that was funded through a grant. In grade 5 math, we see a decrease of students scoring in the red and a small increase in meeting or exceeding over 2022. This progress is encouraging as students transition to more complex mathematical concepts. Grade 6 shows some fluctuation over the 3 years. This grade level often sees challenges as students encounter, as we said, more abstract mathematical thinking. Many students in this cohort are now being provided with a specific math lab course as an intervention, rather than the former math explorations course. In grade 7, we've seen gradual improvement. The percentage meeting or exceeding expectations has risen from 54% in 2022 to 61.1% in 2024, which is 23.6% above the state average. While there's still room for growth, this upward trend is positive. Algebra 1 shows improving performance in the decrease of students scoring in the red and orange ranges, and a 5% increase in students meeting or exceeding expectations. This is particularly encouraging as Algebra 1 is a gateway course for higher level mathematics. And it is also noteworthy as we are one of the few districts to provide Algebra 1 for the majority, 95% of our 8th grade students. As I shared before, geometry is a concern and something we are digging deeper into in terms of the alignment of the curriculum and the units that we study in what is known as analytic algebra and geometry. We'll now take a look at cohort growth as we did with ELA. For our current 5th graders, we see strong and consistent performance. In 3rd grade, 73% were meeting or exceeding expectations, and this increased slightly to 74.6% in 4th grade. This stability indicates that students are successfully building on their mathematical foundation. We see a greatly enlarged yellow band in this cohort's progress, notably when they were in grade 5. We will definitely be digging deeper into the students scoring in this range to determine possible causes of that expansion of the yellow. For our current 7th graders, we see some challenges. In 4th grade, 73.2% of them were meeting exceeding expectations. This dropped to 62% in 5th grade, and in 6th grade, it further decreased to 55.3%. This trend highlights the need for targeted support in the transition to middle school math, which is exactly what we're providing via our new Math Lab course. The pattern is a little opposite for students who are now in 8th grade, where we're also implementing a new Math Lab course to bolster student outcomes. So looking at demographic breakdown in mathematics, 56.6% of females are meeting or exceeding expectations, which is a little bit of a downward turn of 1.13%. Males, 60.26% are meeting exceeding expectations, which is up less than a percentage point. And the gender gap, as a result of that, is widening a little bit from the previous year. We're developing targeted strategies to support and encourage students in mathematics, but one example is that we're continuing to study the sense of belonging in math with our partners at the University of Chicago. For math performance by ethnicity and race, Asian students continue to perform strongly at 78.63%. Hispanic or Latino students improved by 1.23 percentage points this past year. Black or African American students maintained their performance with a slight increase of less than a percentage point. White students saw a small decrease of less than a percentage point. And we're focusing, as a result of this, and have been since our strategic plan and probably before that, with targeted interventions to close achievement gaps while maintaining high performance across all groups. In math performance by program, students with 504 plans improved by 5.52 percentage points. Economically disadvantaged students gained 4.55 points, and English language learners showed significant improvement, up 6.08 points. And those groups, the economically disadvantaged and our English language learners, were students that we really looked at in selecting students for our high-impact tutoring program. These mixed results show the impact of some of our targeted interventions, but also highlight areas needing additional support. So here are some of the observations of our math leadership team, Ms. Rosander and Mr. Oren. Again, above state performance in most every grade level or math course, improved results across diverse demographic groups, performance dips in transition years. So third grade is the first time they take the NJSLA, so that's a transition. Fifth grade being that move to middle school. Sixth grade being a move to sort of more complex abstract mathematical thinking and a different math program, and geometry. Grades 5 and 6 are still outperforming the 2022 cohort, despite a slight decrease from 2023. So next steps that our leaders have identified are to enhance PD for small group differentiated instruction. Ms. Rosander led several workshops on Monday on this specific topic for elementary grade level students, teachers. We've identified that we need to strengthen vertical articulation in transition grades, the 4th through 6th and the 8th to 9th. We need to bolster 5th grade platooning with content-specific support, where we have some 5th grade teachers teaching math and others teaching reading. We need to strategically implement MAP data findings, integrate NJSLA-style questions into quarterly assessments, diversify questioning techniques to boost critical thinking, and continue to maximize the high-impact tutoring funds that are available yet again this year. So turning to science. So science is tested a little less frequently than ELA and math, so these results will give us a snapshot at key points in our students' academic journey. Science also uses different levels of performance from below proficient to advanced proficient. This overview shows strong performance across all tested grades in science when compared to the state averages we looked at earlier. Grade 5 shows 42.7 proficient or advanced proficient. Grade 8 shows improvement from 27.7% to 29.7%. And we've also seen a decrease in the percentage of those below proficient. And it's important to note that while we've got 27 or 29.7%, the state percentage here is only 18%. Grade 11 stands out with 51.5% of students proficient or advanced proficient, including 17% at the advanced proficient level. In 5th grade science, we've seen steady improvement over the last 3 years. Our advanced proficient percentage has increased from 39% in 2022 to 42.7% in 2024. The percentage of students in the below proficient category has decreased each year. And this trend suggests that our elementary science curriculum instruction are improving and that the platooned approach to 5th grade we implemented last year may be having a positive impact. 8th grade science showed a positive trend. We've seen a notable increase in the advanced proficient category from 3% to 8.6% over time. In 11th grade science, results are particularly strong compared to the state, with 23.4% more students in the proficient, advanced proficient range in SPF than in the state. And now, again, we'll take a closer look at the demographic groups in science. In science, we see balanced performance between genders. Females, 40.3% proficient advanced, up 1.6 percentage points from last year, and males, 42.07%, also up 1.6 percentage points over the previous year. The consistent growth for both genders is encouraging, though we're working on strategies to boost overall proficiency rates. Science performance by ethnicity and race shows some positive trends. Asian students lead with 57.57%, which is an increase of 4.64%. Black or African American students saw a notable increase of 3.5 percentage points, and students of 2 or more races showed significant improvement, up 13.1 percentage points to 63.23%. And lastly, by program. Science performance by program shows mixed results. Students with 504 plans improved significantly to 40.47%, up 6.27 percent points. Economically disadvantaged students increased 18.6%, up to 18.6, which was up 3.3 percentage points. English learners showed notable improvement, up 11.1%, which is really significant, the multilingual learners and the former multilingual learners, as last year was the first year that Ms. Howard, our World Language and ESL supervisor, developed and presented specific plans for all of our English language learners to teachers of all content areas of those learners. Our science supervisor, Ms. Faria, has observed the following: outperforming state averages in all tested grades, improved proficiency and advanced proficiency in 5th and 8th grades with fewer below proficient, a slight decrease in 11th grade proficiency but still well above state average, and positive gains across diverse demographic groups reflective of inclusive instructional efforts, while implementing the following steps. 5th grade teaming, as I've said, has showed some positive impact, especially in physical science and critiquing practices. So we're going to continue to deepen the curriculum focus there. Middle school, maintaining the integration of NJSLA science-style questions across all grades with the help of generative AI. And at the high school, balancing content demands with science and engineering practices, emphasizing investigation, sense-making, and critiquing to boost literacy and proficiency. So I've endeavored to bring student voice into this rather number-driven presentation each year, because remember, this is about students, right? Typically, this has been the voices of high school students. This year, instead, I asked some of our 5th graders at Terrell and Nettingham, what do state test results not tell us about you as a student? Here are some of their insightful responses. They don't tell us what I'm good at. They can't tell us that I was very scared and nervous to take the test. They also couldn't see that I like different things, I guess, other than ELA, math, and science. State test results don't tell about what we felt while taking this test. They don't tell that we are smart and we know how to learn. They don't tell us that I work hard. They don't tell who I really am and who I want to be. State test results do not tell you in a student is what is happening at home or school that is causing distraction or discomfort. And my favorite, state test results don't tell you about how I am a hardworking student, a loving, kind, and grateful friend, am passionate about my sports, and I appreciate my friends and family. So these responses remind us of the importance of seeing the whole child beyond test scores. They highlight emotional aspects of testing and the many strengths and qualities our students possess that aren't captured by standardized tests. As we move forward with our improvement plans, we'll keep these student perspectives in mind, ensuring our approach to education remains holistic and student-centered. Thank you for your attention to this comprehensive review of our state assessment results. They provide valuable insights, but they're just one part of how we measure and support student success. We're committed to using this data and other aspects of classroom data that we collect to inform our practices and improve outcomes for all students. Are there any questions about the data we've reviewed or our next steps?
I don't have,
Go
you have a
ahead.
question? I didn't have a question. I had a comment.
I had one question. When is the high-impact tutoring funding ending?
So it was extended for another year, and we were actually given a little bit more money this year to put towards that.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yep. So just a final reminder that behind every data point, there is a child. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McGarry. Our next update is SSDS and HIB reporting.
Good evening, everyone. The New Jersey Department of Education utilizes the Student Safety Data System to report on the Electronic Violence and Vandalism Reporting System, EVVRS, and the Harassment, Intimidation, and Bullying Investigations, Trainings, and Programs. I will report on the EVVRS, and Mrs. Iarussi will report on the Harassment, Intimidation, and Bullying Investigations, Trainings, and Programs, and School Self-Assessments. The data I present is based on 5 identified categories by the state of New Jersey and is entered biannually into their reporting system. This data is reported publicly to the board at two times a year. The following data is for the reporting period of January 2024 to June 2024. In the category of violence, there were 9 incidences reported. In all schools, vandalism, 2 incidents reported, weapons, 1 incident reported, and in substance, 0 incidences were reported. Mrs. Iarussi will report the number of incidences regarding HIB.
It's in the back.
Good evening, everyone. So tonight I will first present on the school self-assessments for the 2023-2024 school year, and then give the harassment, intimidation, and bullying investigation trainings and programs report for the January through June of the 2024 period. So there are slides behind you. New Jersey law requires school districts and public schools to complete a self-assessment to help schools and school districts evaluate their efforts in implementing the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act. It serves as an opportunity for schools to reinforce and strengthen HIB prevention and intervention programs, policies, and practices. Each school completed their school self-assessment in the spring of 2024. There are 8 core elements you can see listed here. Element 1 covers HIB programs, approaches, and initiatives. Specifically, the section asks that schools annually implement, document, and assess HIB programming that are designed to create school-wide conditions to prevent and address HIB. Element 2 covers training for both adults in the schools and students. Element 3 covers other staff instruction, such as HIB and suicide prevention within a 5-year professional development cycle, and professional development for our ABSs, those are our anti-bullying specialists, school safety teams, and administrators. Element 4 covers curriculum. This looks at our provision of ongoing instruction on preventing HIB for students and the participation in New Jersey's Week of Respect each fall, which we recently had. Element 5 covers personnel. This element asks that we appoint an anti-bullying specialist and create a school safety team in each of our schools. Additionally, as required by the law, the anti-bullying specialists meet regularly throughout the year with the anti-bullying coordinator. There are 2 options for core elements number 6 and 7, based on if there was a minimum of 1 HIB report. Element 6 covers incident reporting. This section looks specifically at whether we have implemented specific procedures for reporting HIB. Element 7 covers investigation procedures, following the proper steps and following the timeline. And Element 8 covers HIB reporting and asks that our procedure for reporting ensure that we gather all the required information. Here are the self-assessment scores by school for the 2023-24 school year. Each element has 1 to 5 indicators on which a school can receive points. Points are given on a scale of 0 to 3 for each indicator to arrive at a total score with a maximum value of 78. School grades are then averaged together to make the district grade. As you see, the district grade is blank, and that is because the scores do not get submitted until after this public meeting. And on this slide, you can see the scores per school, our district grade, the number of HIB reports and confirmed cases for the past 3 years, beginning with the most current year in the left column. I will now move on to the next portion of the presentation, which again is the harassment, intimidation, and bullying investigations, trainings, and programs report for the January through June of the 2024 period. Here is a list of our anti-bullying specialists in each school building who led the 50 investigations for our school district last school year. Out of the 50 investigations, 20 were confirmed, and all the investigations have been completed. Regardless of the outcome of each HIB investigation, each case identifies remediations for the students involved, including the bystanders. I have grouped the remediations into 3 categories: support, skill development, and prevention. For support, we had counselors use the referral process for in-school and outside services, plan check-ins with the school counselor or student assistant specialists, social workers, school principals, and when applicable, the case manager. Effective School Solutions and Rutgers Behavioral Health Care also provided student support for those enrolled in their program or through referrals. For skill development, the areas of concern were addressed in many ways to develop positive social skills through explicit instruction and opportunities to practice those skills. Some examples were peer mediation, conflict resolution, lessons on friendship building and neurodiversity. Other approaches were behavioral coaching, the use of literature to enhance learning and incorporating zones of regulation, to develop emotional regulation strategies in counseling sessions and in the classroom. And lastly, for prevention, there was a student-created poster activity detailing anti-bullying behavior and how to be an upstander. Check-in and check-out charts were used to help with goal setting, digital citizenship and diversity lessons, sensitivity training, guidance toward an apology of action, lessons on cultural biases, parent communication and involvement with the school, logical consequences chart, and linking the student to extracurricular activities to increase their sense of belonging. We'll now move on to trainings. Each school conducted training to support a safe school climate. The elementary schools continued to implement the second step social emotional curriculum throughout the school year. Some specific trainings to highlight are the Nurtured Heart Approach training for 5th grade teachers and the instructor training at the middle schools, school-based threat assessment team training, substance use and child abuse training, teen mental health instructor training. We now have 6 teachers as certified instructors, and school safety climate team meetings, HIB training for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade stakeholders, and anti-bullying specialist and anti-bullying coordinator meetings. This brings us to the final slide, which looks at specific programming students and staff have participated in to support a safe and positive school climate and prevent or reduce HIB incidents. Some of the programming was district-wide, school-wide, or grade-level specific. At the elementary schools, there were anti-bullying and school climate assemblies. One to highlight is School 1's Pride Character Education student-led assemblies. At all the schools, the teachers conducted bullying prevention lessons. Student assistant specialists led small counseling groups or classroom lessons for social skills, peer conflict, and regulating emotions. Classroom teachers delivered second step SEL lessons during responsive classroom meetings. At Brunner, these meetings also included approaches on teacher talk, morning meetings, and logical consequences. Student leadership opportunities continued in our elementary schools through student council events, service learning, and peer-to-peer activities such as reading buddies. Think Purple Week activities and lessons focused on drug and alcohol prevention by focusing on wellness. The Great Kindness Challenge and activities for Kindness Week took place in several schools. Evergreen celebrated autism awareness with many activities. School 1 had a school-wide bubble celebration on neurodiversity. McGinn's Career Day had the theme Be You Belong, and School One incorporated SEL with the theme Social Emotional Learning Meets Career Day. A celebration of diversity, equity, and inclusion happened in several ways, celebrating Differences Day, classroom lessons, multicultural night, monthly themed announcements for Heritage Months, Global Family Night, and Global Cultures Day. Coles emphasized school climate activities such as Fridays, March Madness, and Movement May. There was high school heroes, mental health awareness month activities, and valuable PTA assemblies with Daryl Harrell on disability awareness, and the Mr. Sox rock concert also took place. Remembering our teachers during their Appreciation Week was another spring highlight toward a positive school climate. At the middle schools, there was an assembly with Speaker Sam Anthony during Think Purple Week, a 3+ health poster contest, Leeds Police School collaboration, for positive decision-making for our 5th graders, Newark Math NORC, NORC, Math Sense of Belonging, Pals and Heroes Student Leadership Group, Student Council, another leadership opportunity, Safe Space Club, Terrell Joy Nettingham this past June for their prom. Dr. Dumaresque was the DJ, I heard. Effective School Solutions and Rutgers Behavioral Health Program provided interventions for students with increased risk factors. STAR Advisory, which included career education lessons. Shining Forth Awards Program for positive student behavior, and committees for both school climate and health and wellness, which included a school climate survey at the end of the school year. And at the high school, we had Green Dot, and an upstander training was provided to the last year's 9th graders during their health class, as well as a lesson on establishing healthy friendships. Our former 12th graders received Consent 101 to receive bystander training, as well as information about sexual consent and non-consent. And last year's 11th graders received Teen Mental Health First Aid, which teaches how to identify and understand and respond to signs of mental health, including the impact bullying behavior can have on their mental well-being. And lastly, our 10th, 11th, and 12th graders worked from various clubs, worked with Mr. Dory, our student assistance specialist at the high school, at the elementary level, developing and providing Think Purple activities to our Evergreen students and our School One students. So that is the end of the programming. Thank you for the opportunity to share many of the ways our staff and students contribute to maintaining and enhancing our school's positive school culture and climate. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Irisy. Dr. Abimis, anybody? Questions?
Just kudos to the amount that goes on.
Yes. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now for our next instructional update, it's from the EEF.
I want to introduce Mr. Joe Lano from the EEF.
Thank you, members of the Board of Education, for introducing this topic to this evening's agenda. I wanted to share with you that on behalf of the Education Enrichment Foundation of Scotch Plains Fanwood, I'm pleased to inform you that the foundation has approved a budget of $10,000 for a grant to support the creation of a music recording studio at Scotch Plains Fanwood High School. This initiative has been made possible through a generous bequest from the family of Joanna Rodriguez. Joanna is one of the founding members of the EEF. The bequest is specifically restricted to supporting music programs at the high school, excluding any salaries or competition-related expenses. I want to share that we have a guest with us this evening, Lisa Rodriguez. Lisa is Joanna Rodriguez's daughter. During the recent EEF's meeting on June 24th, the planned budget and expense was unanimously approved by the foundation in recognition of Ms. Rodriguez's invaluable contribution and legacy. The Education Enrichment Foundation will also provide a plaque to honor her memory, which will be installed in or near the recording studio upon its completion. We provided the budget for materials for the recording studio, required to outfit the recording studio, which includes a variety of items essentially for a high-quality music production environment, such as sampler and sequencers, microphones, musician monitoring systems, cables, and additional accessories. And these components have been carefully selected to ensure that the studio is equipped to meet the music production needs of students and faculty. I wanted to share with you that the EF is excited about this opportunity to enrich the musical experience for students at Scotch Plains Fanwood High School. We look forward to working with the district to bring its project to fruition. And at this moment, I would like to extend an opportunity to Lisa Rodriguez. She wanted to share a couple of thoughts with the Board of Education.
Come up and
Carefully.
I try to keep it together. My mother felt that public education was everything, and that Scotch Plains Fan was the best place ever. And she felt that we had, my brother and I had, the most wonderful education here. And even though she did a lot herself, she was an educator, she was a learning consultant, she worked in Plainfield and Roselle Park mostly, but she felt that Scotch Plains was really something special. And that's why, that was the reason she made this choice. So I thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I also wanted to acknowledge that Sally Hogan, who's also a founding member of the Education Enrichment Foundation, is also here with us this evening. And I appreciate her being here for support, and she's been a very strong guidance along the way, as much as Dr. McGarry and Dr. Mass have been. So we present this planned expense for budget approval and acceptance by the Board of Education.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. The students are going to definitely love that. It's great. So we'll move over now to public comment. Our first public comment section, in accordance with Scotch Plains Fanwood Public School Bylaw 0164-0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comment. Maximum 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. In the time remains, speakers may address other matters. Speakers, please state your name and the town in which you reside. Please note, board use public comment period is an opportunity to listen to citizen concerns, but do not debate issues or enter into question and answer session or cross-examination between the public and the individual members. Be aware that not all issues brought before the board will be resolved that evening. Boards may respond to public comment by seeking additional information or by delegating the authority to investigate the issue to the superintendent or her designee. So I will now open up for 15 minutes. If you have a public comment, please come to the mic, state your name and the town in which you reside.
Hi, I'm Talib Morgan. I live at 4 Deborah Court in Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Obviously, it's New Jersey. Just used to saying New Jersey after Scotch Plains. But I just wanted to offer my support and say how glad I am that you guys are moving forward on trying to, again, to get the building, to move forward on providing the support that we need for our students. I'm disappointed that the referendum didn't pass as it was. I thought it was a good referendum, that the people in the town disagreed. But I support you all again. What I can do to help, I'm happy to do so. I think we can see from the scores that Dr. McGarry presented, from the performance there, that we have such a strong school district, such a strong group of teachers and administrators, and the performance shows. And I think that we need to be mindful of that as we look at this building and what the future looks like here, and how we accommodate the students and best provide for them. And I think this school goes a long way to this property goes a long way to doing that. And I'm glad that you guys continue to move forward and work for our students. I have a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old, both in the school district, and I'm glad that you all continue to do the work that's necessary to provide for not just them, but all of the students who are here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay, seeing no one, we'll move on to letters to the board. There was 5, and they were received and sent to the appropriate administrator. Committee reports. Sure.
Okay.
You're on. You're good.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. Everyone hear me? The curriculum committee met earlier this week. We discussed a dissertation study proposal in which a teacher leadership doctoral student at Rutgers wants to collaborate with our district on a study convening focus groups of middle school girls to examine their perceptions of math and STEM subjects. So the research will provide, it allows us an opportunity to provide insight into our STEM and math curriculum and enhance teacher practices, create supportive environments that encourage our female students in the pursuit of STEM and math. So we're going to participate in that. We also discussed AI in English and Language Arts. Dr. McKenna, who was here earlier, discussed how our district could use AI, since we all know it's not going away, across the grade levels to generate content, but still engage in the reading and writing process responsibly and in a developmentally appropriate way, and only use it once required skill levels are met as an enhancement, not a replacement of those skills. So we were able to preview a guideline or parameter that might be implemented across grade levels, where it provides a range of allowable AI use, such as no AI, where assignments would not allow any use of AI, and then the continuum would be AI prompted, AI assisted generation, AI assisted editing, to maybe AI completion, and then human evaluation. And so that's something that is going to be examined for potential use. And the district is providing professional development for teachers about using AI. I think some of this has already started, and how students can engage effectively with AI use. Okay. We also discussed, so those were informational. On the agenda for board approval tonight are the course proficiencies for two new courses. One is Italian 1 that is a new course at the high school, allowing now high school students who might want to switch their language of focus or start a new language to take Italian. Currently, there are 15 students that are taking it. So we have those course proficiencies on the agenda tonight, as well as a new course for our English language learners called ESL High Intensity. And it's sort of a more dynamic ESL course at the high school that combines ESL and English language arts standards, and it's designed to meet the English language arts requirements for multilingual newcomer students. And the objective in the course is to provide access to more mainstream English language arts standards for our multilingual learners, and kind of engage them in more dynamic learning and discussion. And the last thing that we discussed is the curriculum committee always gets a preview and has a discussion about the state assessment report, which you all heard tonight. And our next meeting is November 12th.
Thank you. Siriani, any questions for Ms. Siriani? Committee reports, Ms. Brody?
Community Relations Committee met, and the Community Relations Committee had a lengthy discussion regarding the new negotiations with the owner of the building and our decision to move forward with a scaled-back referendum. All of these developments and new negotiations only occurred this week. We still have a space issue that needs to be addressed, and at this point, this was the best option. The previous referendum question regarding 330 South Avenue was for a full-scale pre-K to 5th grade elementary school. We heard the public's concerns. Therefore, this option is a dramatic decrease from the previous referendum. We took all the community feedback very seriously regarding communication and are going to implement some of the things that we have learned. Some of the highlighted changes that we discussed were, the last referendum, we had a communications committee made up of a cross-section of the community. As part of a new community sign-up, we want to create groups that can be engaged over a longer period of time, not just for this vote. We need to plan for creating additional spaces in the future. We value our community input, and we want to work together to decide on a long-term future for the building. We're going to have open microphone, virtual, and in-person town halls. 2 mailings to ensure all community members are informed. School-specific communication groups to be formed at all schools to gather feedback and spread the word. We're going to seek community feedback regarding the question set up and the possibility of including or not including a vote for staffing at the same time as the referendum. We as Board of Ed members will be more engaged with the community at all levels to communicate the need and details of this scaled-back referendum. We have been given another opportunity to procure the current school that we can modify to suit our short-term needs with a fraction of the cost of the previous referendum. Some questions, and I'll address them now, was why wasn't this plan an option in September? The plan that voters considered in September would have provided Scotch Plains Fanwood students with the space that they need. It would have relieved our space crunch in the middle schools and provided music and art classrooms and innovation spaces at the elementary schools. The plan was a big ask, but one the Board of Education felt strongly warranted for community consideration. However, the board and administration heard that the election results and feedback from the community that the price tag was too high, even if the community values of our schools and wants to maintain class sizes. After listening to this feedback, reviewing the election results, and renegotiating a better deal with the seller of 330 South Avenue, we are planning a revised referendum that is less than half the price. This wasn't a plan that was already in the works, but instead one that arose through conversations with the community and seller after the September vote. Another question, would the district's pre-K program change? No changes to the preschool program expected, except that the location would move to LeGrand if the voters approved. This would free up space in the elementary schools by moving 9 classrooms to LeGrand. And another question that could be on people's minds immediately, how could SBF still capture state aid for necessary HVAC and other system upgrades? The district could still receive $11.4 million as part of the revised referendum if voters again approve the HVAC, electrical, and fire alarm upgrades. The state's formula would not allow state aid for purchasing LeGrand. However, minor renovation costs could be offset by the district's capital reserve. Thank you. That's it.
Any questions for Ms. Brody? Thank you.
Thank you.
Other committee reports? Okay. We received the enrollment report. We now have superintendent and curriculum motions. Dr. McGarry, on behalf of Dr. Mast.
On behalf of Dr. Mast. I would like to move that the Board of Education approves the superintendent's decisions in the following, do I have the right thing? No, I don't. Move that the Board of Education approves the additional 2024-2025 school year out-of-district placement as attached.
Do you want to go through the other 3?
Yeah,
So
sure.
we could block them?
You want to block them? Perhaps. Okay. Move that the Board of Education approves the superintendent's decisions in the following HIB cases discussed in executive session on September 18th, 2024. Of the 2 cases, neither was determined to be HIB. Case 050-245-2425-01 and case 065-2324-17. And we would move that the Board of Education approves the following field trip requests. Number 1, a high school club advisor requesting to take the club to a restaurant on November 21st. Students have the opportunity to taste the cuisine as a way to experience the culture that is the focal point of the club. Trip number 2, the high school world language teachers request to take Spanish class to a theater destination on November 21st, 2024. The students will experience a performance of traditional Latin dance. Field trip 3, the high school club advisor requests to take club to participate in competition at a New Jersey high school on January 1st, 2025. Field trip 4, middle school choir director requests to take the 6th grade choir to a destination in New Jersey to participate in a choral festival. The festival provides an opportunity for the students to perform in front of their peers and clinicians provide feedback. Field trip number 5, in addition to field trip 2 request, world language teachers request to take Spanish class to a restaurant after the theater experience on November 21st to experience authentic Mexican cuisine. Field trip number 6, high school club advisor requests to take club to fall finals event held at a New Jersey University location on November 23rd, 2024, if they qualify. And field trip request 7, a high school club advisor requests to take the club to winter finals of the season at a location in Atlantic City, New Jersey on February 22nd, 2024. There's also a list of self-contained program trip lists for 24-25 to be approved. And a new motion that the board, move that the board approves the following 24-25 proficiencies: Italian 1, English as a second language, high intensity.
Thanks,
And-
Dr. McGarry. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's moved by Amy Boroff, seconded by Amy Winkler. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye. We have a roll call for
No.
proficiencies?
Curriculum requires, yeah, we should do a roll call for curriculum.
Okay.
Right.
Roll call.
All right. Ms. Barve?
Yes.
Ms. Bauer?
Yes.
Mrs. Boroff?
Yes.
Ms. Brody?
Yes.
Ms. Siriani?
I vote yes on 1, 3, and 4. I have to abstain on the HIB vote.
Okay. Ms. Winkler?
Yes.
Dr. Kolkowski?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes. Motion carries. Dr. McGarry, personnel.
On behalf of Dr. Mast, move that the Board of Education approves the superintendent's recommendations for personnel on the personnel report dated October 17th, 2024, in the areas noted below.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Kulikowski, do we have a second? We have a second. Any comments or questions? Mr. Jones, please call the roll.
Ms. Barve?
Yes.
Ms. Bauer?
Yes.
Mrs. Boroff?
Yes.
Ms. Brody?
Yes.
Ms. Siriani?
Yes.
Ms. Winkler?
Yes.
Dr. Kolkowski?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes. Motion carries. Business functions. Mr. Jones.
Yes. Okay. Number 1, staff training. Number 2, special education related services. Number 3 is a maintenance plan. This is a standard report. We have to report the minimum amount of maintenance that is due on the buildings and that we are spending that amount. Number 4 is the architect proposal I mentioned in my opening. Number 5 is the option agreement for the 330 South Ave. 6 is what we do every year. Lease purchase bid is how we purchase our computers, our iPads. Number 7 is the sale of those iPads after a certain amount of years. Number 8 is our theater vendors. Number 9 is library book disposal. 10 is the grant donation that was presented earlier. 11 is another grant donation of a gazebo at Brunner. 12 is, these are the rest of our standard reports: fire drill, financial reports, disbursement listings, and payment of bills.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Boroff, do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Brody, do we have any comments or questions for Mr. Jones on any of the items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to board policies. I believe we have 9 new policies and 2 abolishments. Ms. Winkler?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the policy committee met on October 7th. And you all received my report on the.
Ms. Winkler, if you could just move the microphone closer. Yep.
Quickly, I will reiterate that we met on October 7th. No, do I still have to be closer?
Yep.
Am I better now? Okay. So we met on October 7th. We reviewed a number of policies for revisions and a few regulations for revisions and a policy that we're going to abolish. So policies that are being revised: P0141, board member number and term, P2200, curriculum content, P3150, and P4160. Did I type that wrong? On physical examination, P5337, service animals, P5350, student suicide prevention, P8420, emergency and crisis situations, P8467, firearms and weapons, P9181, volunteer athletic coaches and co-curricular activity advisors and assistants, are all policies that we're that we're making revisions to. Also revising regulations 3160 and 4160 that go with the policies, 3160 and 4160 on physical exams, Regulation 5200 on attendance. That is particularly interesting. New Jersey, recent legislation permits New Jersey public school students in grades 6 through 12 to take one state-excused absence each school year to attend a civic event. So we're revising that regulation to account for that. Also, R 8467 on firearms and weapons. And then we're looking to abolish the policy 0164.6, remote public board meetings during a declared emergency, since that part of the administrative code has expired. So at this time, I would move that we approve first reading for the policies and regulations that I mentioned above, and approve abolishing policy 0164.6.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Ms. Barth, thank you. Do we have comments or questions for Ms. Winkler on the policies?
I have a question.
Sure.
The firearms and weapons in the agenda, it says 5467. Is it 5467 or 8467? You said 8467, right? Right. Okay, I was just wanted it.
I can double check, but I'm going to assume it's 5467. That's your students section. The 800 section is usually operations. It is 84?
When we had our
Well-
meeting.
Yeah, 8467.
Good catch. Okay, 8467 it is. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New board business. Any new board business? Other board
Oh,
business?
wait.
Oh,
Oh, not new board, no.
other board business liaison reports. That's what you guys wanted, right? That's where you were?
We're so excited.
I know. So we have Garden State Coalition and we have CPAC.
You know,
so-
Nancy and I, with our
We're a
little
tag team
liaison
down
Let's
there.
bring the
situation.
microphone, good, let's go.
We love
CPAC
it.
first
Okay.
or Garden State? Who's going first?
Well, I'm going to go first.
CPAC.
CPAG first. So, and again, I actually want to take a minute to really, I know we had some CPAG members here earlier tonight. I do really want to acknowledge the amount of time that they put in to facilitate the meetings and coordinate them and arrange them. We did meet on October 7th, and some of the liaisons gave us, it's the start of the year, they're just sort of situating, so it looks like the two middle schools have already met with the principals, and to collaborate on different things going on at both schools, cohesively and then individually. But they discussed things such as theme weeks and are starting to schedule regular check-ins. At the meeting itself, we had a discussion about post-high school plans for students with 504s or IEPs and what that looks like. And I'm not going to go into the detail of it. I am going to encourage people that if they do have a child that is part of the Department of Special Services, that an overview of the type of meeting that this was is what you can expect. Resources helping parents to figure out what the next steps are as they're preparing for their children to move on from high school, and what that looks like from a college perspective, vocational perspective, or internally program within our district. And I will end it by saying that one of those programs that we have within our district is career on-site job training through an in-house program where some of our students will go to local businesses. And the reason I brought that up is because in about 2013, when I owned Be Craftful, I had Mrs. Robertson would come and bring a Scotch Plains Fanwood student to my store once a week for job training, and it was always inspirational to me, so I'm glad to see that we still have that program. And the next meeting is November 11th at Terrell Middle School at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Boroff. Any comments from Ms. Boroff? No? Okay, Ms. Bauer.
Okay, I did want to report on the Garden State Coalition of Schools. We met yesterday. We always typically have a speaker, and the speaker was Joel Moore. He was from the Education Commission of the States, and he was speaking on national education policy trends. I'll mention the 6 trends that he highlighted, but they do research, they do reports, cyclical reports, and they're also available for questions and so forth. The legislative trends and educational policy that he highlighted were related to teaching and recruitment, retention, K-12 funding, and also CTE and workplace programs, workforce, early care, early childhood education, chronic absenteeism, and health. And so I won't go into all of those, but that just gives you a little overview of what the meeting was. We also had the director of Garden State Coalition of Schools is really our lobbyist in Trenton, so she reported on a number of things that it was a very busy summer in Trenton. And so she talked about that legislation, and for board members next week at the New Jersey School Board's annual fall conference, the Garden State always co-hosts a legislative panel, and that's going to be on Wednesday at 10:30 in the morning. So if you have the opportunity to go, the Senate Majority Leader Teresa Ruiz is going to be there, and the Senate Education Committee Chair, Van Gopal, and a number of other legislators. So.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer. Any
You're
questions for
welcome.
Ms. Bauer on her report? Any other liaison reports? Yes, Ms.
Got
Bauer.
Union County School Boards Association
Sure.
met on October 9th. Union County made the 100% Club for workshop, which means, Union County School Boards Association met on October 9th. The Union County has made the 100% Club for workshop, which means that every district in Union County is sending people to workshop. You should, when we're there, we should go to what was known as County Cafe. I think they've changed the name of it now, and get the 100% Club ribbon. The School Boards Association launched their new website last week, which should be a little more user-friendly. They also mentioned that School Boards Association has volunteer opportunities for anyone who's interested. You can apply through the website to be on standing committees or on ad hoc task forces. CUSAC, they mentioned a number of districts in the county, including ours, are due this year. So visits will be in January, February, and March. They talked about, what else? Monday, what else? Monday at workshop, keynote speaker Marita Chang, who is a roboticist, is going to be speaking. On Tuesday is John Quinones and Quinones. I'm sorry. And on Wednesday, Sonia Manzano is going to be the keynote speaker. I know I'm looking forward to that one particularly. What else? They talked to. So we had a presentation on the
Building board relationships and mutual trust.
Thank you. Thank you. Can't read my own chicken scratch. Talked about having a strong vision and mission, and that we serve the students, shared vision and consensus for maximum support, opportunities for input and feedback, actively listening and allowing that to inform decisions, assessing goals and progress, and the roles of the Board of Ed versus the role of the superintendent, and, sort of stay in your lane kind of thing. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Ms. Winkler. Any comments for Ms. Winkler? Questions? Any other liaison reports? Requests to attend workshops, workshop reports, resolutions. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the September 18th meeting?
So moved.
Ms. Winkler,
Second.
Ms. Boroff. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Second public comment section. In accordance with Scotch Plains Fanwood Public Bylaws 0164 and 0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comment, maximum 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. If time remains, speakers may address other matters. Speakers, please state your name and the town in which you reside. Please note boards use public comment period as an opportunity to listen to citizen concerns, but not to debate issues or enter into a question and answer session or cross-examination between the public and the individual members. Be aware that not all issues brought before the board will be resolved that evening. Boards may respond to public comment by seeking additional information or by delegating the authority to investigate the issue to the superintendent or her designee. With that, if you would like to make a public comment, please come to the microphone, state your name and the town in which you reside.
Hi, everyone, how are you?
Good.
Let's go Mets. Yeah, so, baseball update, unfortunately.
Name
the
and,
Yank-
I'm sorry, your name
I'm
and.
sorry, it's Joe Schiavo, I live in Scotch Plains.
Thank
So
you.
this doesn't count at 3 minutes. Baseball update, the Yankees unfortunately lost in extra innings, and the Mets are behind 1 or 2 runs. 2? 1?
One?
Oh, I thought you were checking.
Okay.
So I apologize. So anyway, I thought people would want to know that. I too am, my name is Joe Schiavo, I live in Scotch Plains. I too, like the gentleman said before me, am disappointed that the bond referendum didn't pass. And I really want to thank the school board for their continuous hard work. I mean, this is a lot of work in terms of what you came up initially for the bond and then quickly pivoted into, it sounds like something that's still going to help build our future. And hopefully, people in the town get the message that things like this take hard work, time, and a lot of money. And what is the result? The result is what the numbers you went through on the board up there. They continue to make us very proud, and our children go on to do great things. So I wanted to say that, thank you. I also, what he said and what he said, and that's Dr. McGarry and Dr. Mast, you couldn't have put it, a summary of what's going on more perfectly. So I only have 3 suggestions, recommendations, if you listen to them. One is communicate, the second one is communicate, and the third one is to communicate. And, right, we'll get then everybody together, and you get a yes, hopefully. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming in.
Any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will, upcoming scheduled meetings, we have Ask the Superintendent at Nettingham Media Center on October 29th, and then we have our November 21st and December 19th public board meetings in this room at 8 p.m. We'll move to the good of the order. I have a couple things. Obviously, we want to congratulate the girls' gymnastics team again on beating Summit tonight. Congratulate Jalen Richards on, obviously, first female to score a varsity touchdown in football in the state of New Jersey. It's great. And then the girls' volleyball team has their second round Union County tournament game against Westfield on Saturday at 12:30. Other good of the order. Yes.
I just want to say, as a previous member of the board of the EEF, I want to thank you all for your efforts and thank the Rodriguez family as well. Thank you.
Well, I was also present at the ribbon cutting for the Evergreen School opening, the new 8 classrooms that were formerly the board offices. And the children and the students and the aides that were there in the hallway when we did the ribbon cutting were so excited to have these new classrooms. And I don't know if they realized we gave up our offices for them, but we did get a tour of the facility afterwards, and it was beautiful. And the classrooms are all greatly furnished, and the necessary equipment for the specialized classes that are there. Everything was perfect and beautiful for the students, and I was glad that I was able to be there with Dr. Mass, with Debbie, and with Amy, among with the other principal and faculty from the Evergreen School. Then later that night, again, Dr. Mass and Debbie and Amy, I guess you were online for the Union County School Board meeting. It's another way we get to interact with other school board members. We sat at a table with some Rahway board members, and we had a very nice time meeting and socializing with them, in addition to hearing the presentation for the board. And the local manager, the service person that was there was Jean Cleary, who used to be part of our board. So it was nice to see her there again. And then also the football game the very next night on October 10th. Unfortunately, our team lost, but it's still nice to get out and support the students and watch the football games, and can't wait for the next two that are coming up to clear out our season. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kulkowski. Other items for the good of the order?
I just want to welcome Grace to our board and just say I really enjoy having the student members. You add a whole new dimension and energy to the board, so I appreciate you. And I want to thank Christopher for just all his hard work going back to the drawing board. And I know there were many conversations this week and just a lot of hard work. And so thank you so much for all of that.
Thank you.
I'd like to wish everyone a happy and safe Halloween. Please be safe.
Two things, actually. Just one thing, the Marching Band State Finals are coming up November 3rd. They're doing, I mean, they sound so great this year, and, you know, if you go out to the football game tomorrow, you'll see them there as well. And also, it's crazy at drop-off, so everyone be careful out there. But I think, you know, I feel like by October, schools mostly have their routine down, so it's looking pretty good out there, too.
Anyone else?
I just was going to mention, we heard a lot of wonderful tributes for tenure this evening, but we have 3 people with us tonight we should recognize, and that's Christopher Jones and Robert McGarry and Christina Iarussi. So just congratulations to them.
Dr. McGarry, anything on behalf of Dr. Mass you want to say?
I think we've said it all.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.